All right, guys, welcome. So we're live. I got here Raj, and Raj is actually the CEO of Creative Content, and you're the founder of My Friends, Your Friends, which is an awesome and epic. It's like a networking event where people just vibe together, they meet each other. How many people did you have the last time?
The last couple have been around the last proper My Friends, Your Friends have been in the 500 person like ballpark. Yeah. It's been really
Okay,
good,
okay.
man. It's a shame that there's no more large gatherings because really My Friends, Your Friends is one of
Yeah, we
my
can't
favorite
really get right
events to
now.
run. Yeah.
Okay, but I've been to your events, dude. They're freaking amazing, man. Like really great vibes, great people, interesting people to talk to, and just awesome vibes, man. Anyway, so Raj, welcome to the show, buddy.
Appreciate that. Thank you for the invite. I hope you and your family are well and
Yeah,
healthy.
we're all safe, man. What about your family?
Yeah, so far, so good. It continues, as the virus spreads, I feel like it's like a boa constrictor. It gets closer and closer. Like you don't really know anybody that was affected by it, and then you kind of hear of people at arm's length. And as of this week, I've started finding out about some of my friends have lost their parents to it, and a lot of
Oh
other people
God.
that died of natural causes have not had the option of a funeral and things of that nature. So the
Mm.
impact is becoming realer and realer. And so, yeah, I mean, we're at a time right now where people's needs have definitely, or where people put their attention has definitely changed, and rightly so, on the things that matter and have always mattered.
Yeah. I think we're going back to our basic human values right now. Where we're so caught up with, capitalism, work, making money, and now we're at a stage where the universe kind of said, all right, you guys have to slow down and you got to go down. You got to go back to basics. Um, yes, it's tragic what's going on and what's happening. People are dying. But at the same time, I feel like people are becoming much closer to each other as families. I see fathers playing with their kids. Families are getting closer. People are asking about their elders. So there are some good things happening as
Mm.
well as bad.
I, I
Hopefully,
I would
this will.
say that just to be at least to jump in and give my 2 cents on that is that it's
Mm,
also not going to be the death of capitalism. Capitalism is
I
what's
don't think so.
it's going to get us out of this. So a lot of people are saying like the world was too capitalistic, but capitalism as an economic paradigm is going to be part of the solution because certain people, whether they be long-standing entrepreneurs or new frontier innovators, are going to be the employers of the future. Now it's what they build and what's considered within those businesses that dictate what people how we engage with capitalism as a paradigm. So when you start looking at capitalism at a high level, which is, hey, we've got to announce quarterly results in our business and we can have additional operating
Mm,
efficiencies by outsourcing everything to China so we can make higher margins.
mm,
That's one form of capitalism. That's one of the character traits, which is just anything for money.
yeah.
But the other opportunity within capitalism is, hey, the whole world is shifting this way. I want my business in my country to be the number one front runner of this. I want to hire people from my country. I want to pay taxes in my country and look after society.
Mm,
That's also
mm.
capitalism. Capitalism sometimes I think is
Yeah.
interchangeably with exploitation, but it's not. True
No, I don't mean
capitalism
it in that way. I don't mean it in
yeah,
that
is
sense.
to capitalize.
I yeah, I'm totally a capitalist, man. I want to make money.
Mm,
I want to be rich and everything. But I think we're just caught up right now with money too much. It's good to make money. I want to make money, but as long as you're a well-rounded person, you're
mm,
taking care of yourself, your family, and you're contributing to society. And I think we've become isolated in these recent times where everyone's just focused on themselves. Everyone's on survival mode. How do I actually get myself through to pay my bills and everything? It's like it's me against the world. And I think now we're in a position where we're actually becoming closer to each other. And if we take something out of this, it's going to cause us to evolve and to become much better as a society and to actually treat Earth much better, animals much better. So it's going to cause us to become well-rounded people. But Raj, buddy, I wanted to talk to you because you're very good, with building networks, talking to people. Companies are made out of people. You know, this is what makes a company. And you were talking in your interview, and you said it very, very nicely, where you said, you know, I'm in a position right now, even though there's an economic collapse, I can actually, you know, talk to people, I can leverage my contacts, I can generate money, I can help people right now. I'm in a position where I am, you know, influential in these stages. So how do you get someone to be in a position like you are right now in this stage where they're actually sitting at home and they're feeling helpless and I don't know what to do? You know, how do you make people get to that level, especially in these times?
So I think it really comes down to a couple of things, and like I said, there are macroeconomic changes happening at the moment, which is how the country evolves economically, and then there's microeconomics, your business and your industry, and then there's nanoeconomics, which is the economics of the mind. So the first thing that you've got to do is really get in control of your mind and start making some commitments and some decisions about what is going to be my mindset, or what is the mindset I need to work towards to get through this. And in broad terms, it's you're going to have to opt for a glass half full mindset. If you go glass half empty, it goes one way, down. Glass half full is on its way to full. So let's talk about some of the opportunities for the average person that didn't exist before coronavirus. As you rightly mentioned, one of the things that I probably have as a strength is I have a really solid network, both in Dubai and internationally. And how have I built that network? Well, I built it from over 2 decades of just showing up, taking chances, going to meetings, 1 in 16 of those meetings being a complete waste of time, 1 in 16 of those meetings being incredibly valuable, like life-changing, 14 of those meetings being somewhere in between or playing out over the long term. So
what's your frame of mind? Sorry to interrupt you. What's your frame of mind when you're going into these meetings? Like, what's your objective?
Well, before I answer that, I'll get into this point. So what the reason why I have that is that I've now got an aggregate number of contacts that I have across all different industries, and it's taken time to build up. Why has it taken time to build up? Because everybody that I've built a relationship with, I have to wait for them to be available. And one of the number one things about the current pandemic is a lot more people are available. A lot more people have a lot more time on their hands, and a lot more. It's
a great point, man.
A lot more people are staring at this thing that I'm holding in my hand. And for those listening on audio, I'm holding my smartphone up. So being the fact that you've got now more time and more access, you know now that if you've got someone's email address, there's a chance that they're much more likely to read it, or that whoever reads it on their behalf might pass it up to them. There's a lot more people spending time on their DMs. There's a lot more time people spending more time on messaging apps, and also people consuming content. So if you make content,
and I think people want to help as well, right? Like, people want to help more than ever. They're not busy. They want to help.
Yeah. I mean, people also want to help for selfish reasons, which is like, you know, I've been, you know, me and you have been speaking about doing this for a while. There's all the people that have wanted to interview me in the last few months are all getting their interviews now, because I have the time. And also I want to help also for selfish reasons, because I also want the people that constantly stay on my case and ask me for a meeting or a coffee or an interview or a Skype or whatever, Zoom. I'm like, okay, boom, I'm available. Tell me what you're up to. And you know,
let's do this.
If you or anybody says something that resonates with me or any of the brands that we're building at the moment, I'm now then going to double down, triple down on my time. So it's going to be a 30-minute interview like this, which then turns into another 30-minute offline conversation, which then turns into, once we come out of quarantine, a 1-hour lunch. And then that actually might to contacts changing hands or money changing hands. You know what I mean? Like, I might see something and if I don't invest some money behind that, maybe I'll invest the attention of one of my communities behind that. So, I mean, I think that to this avatar that you're referring to, somebody who's feeling down, you've got to understand that, as you rightly said, stuff happens between people. The magic of progress is always between the people and like who it is that you've built relationships with, who you know. And now is a great time to get to know new people and also to be known by new people.
Okay, very good. So when you're saying I go in and I meet people and I do a lot of these meetings, so you're in contact with a lot of people. What's the frame of mind that you have? What are you thinking? What are you focusing? I want to serve these people. I want to help them. Like I'm always focusing on how can I make this person succeed? You know, what's your focus when you're sitting with people, when you're talking to people?
You know what? I like that. I like that approach. I
Mm,
feel like it's two-dimensional. I'll tell you why.
mm,
It's
yeah.
it's too easy to go up to someone and be like, "Hey, this is what I do, and how can I offer value to you?" The reason
Mm,
why a lot of entrepreneurs and successful people sometimes don't gravitate towards that approach is that they also want to know, what are you doing? I don't need someone
mm,
so available that's prepared to respond to my beck and call. So I'll tell you about my
yeah.
approach and how it's different. Yes, of course, I have to offer value to people. That goes without saying, and that builds relationship and that builds equity with people and currency.
Yeah.
I also have, which is different in my approach, is I also let people know what projects I'm working on and what gaps I have. And I'm also looking for
Mm,
advice from that person. Short, sharp, sweet,
mm,
concise advice. So for example, I have a community right now, the My Friends, Your Friends community, that has grown in the last 3 years from 15 people to 3,500 people organically. I might say to somebody who has a technology company that manages big data, or somebody who has a much larger events portfolio than me, or somebody who's a general brand builder who's known for being really successful. And I might say, hey, it's nice to meet you. Of course, you know, I'm aware of what you're doing. I already have some context on you. Make sure you have that. And you say, listen, if you've got a minute and a half, I'd just be really grateful because I'm in a bit of a position at the moment. Then I explain, I've grown this community from 15 people to 3,500 people in 3 years. Now you've demonstrated some progress and some momentum. So you're not asking them to get you off the ground floor or get you from zero gear to
mm,
gear 1 and 2. You say, here's where I am.
okay.
I'm at gear 1, I'm at gear 2, I'm at gear 3. I'm struggling to push through to the next stage. If you were me, do you have any advice, whether it's an outlook or a metaphor, or
Mm,
even
mm,
somebody else I should speak to? And more often than not, entrepreneurs will respond to that better than, hey, I do this,
mm,
I'm willing to add value in any which way that I can.
mm,
And I'll explain
mm,
why that's important. Once you're really out here hustling, you want to connect with other hustlers. And the advice that I give to the people that I've mentored is, people want to jump onto a moving train. Nobody wants to go up to a train and the train drivers say, how do I start this train? And now you
yeah. Where
now
do
you
we go?
now you got to open the engine and figure out what's wrong with the train and help that train start.
Yeah.
If that train
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
moving, when you drive up, when that train rolls up to that entrepreneur or that successful person, you kind of pull up in the train and go, hey, listen, this is where we are. This is the speed that we're going and this is where we're trying to get to. Is there a way you can help us get there faster that also benefits you?
Okay.
You know what I mean? So people want to jump onto a
Hmm.
moving train. The number one thing that I used to hate when I was in the hip hop and rap game is that I'd be like out and about at concerts, or I'd be in the streets and I'd talk to like hustlers in the streets and I'd be like, you know what you up to? And they're like, you know me, bruv, I'm out here like, and I say, what do you do? And they go, I do everything, man. I got a record label, I got a clothing line, I got a brand design company.
It's
And
too
I'm like,
broad.
too broad, fam. Too broad. You're offering,
Yeah.
you're offering me way too much at this
Too
point.
much.
If you're telling me you've got all these things and your team is 3 people, now you've got 3 jack of all trades. If you tell me you can do all those things and I've got 25 people on staff and we've been moving for 5 years, like busy for 5 years, I'm like, that's a system I can buy into. So people want to know specifically what you're doing, where you're going, where you've come from, exactly what assistance you need to get there, and then they're much more likely to help you. I love it when I get an email from someone being like, hey, this is where I'm at the moment. These are the options that I see. Which of these 3 options would you go for? And if there's an outside option,
Mm,
I would love to hear it. Nice, clear,
mm,
concise.
mm.
I'm in this
Yeah.
position.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like one of my young homies who is doing really well right now. He came out. He went to sound engineering school because I told him to at 17 years old. He came out and he goes, "These are my options. I've graduated. I did the course that you told me to do. These are my options. Which ones would you go for?" And then you just kind of like help them get along to the next stage. And if you're
Yeah.
an opportunity that they don't have, you share it because you respect their approach and they respect your time. Like,
Right. Right.
aside
Right.
from
Right.
having really general wishy-washy conversations that go nowhere.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, and it's great advice what you said, because it also gives the other person a clear direction on how to help you.
Mhm.
You know, like these people that tell me like, "Hey man, can you help me? I'm looking for a job." I'm like, "What kind of job do you want?" They're like, anything. I'm like, dude, I can't help you because you're not narrowing it down for you. Because I'm going to tell you, yeah, I'll let you know if something pops up. If you tell me, listen, man, I work in sales, I want the automotive business, this is what I'm looking for, then my mind starts to think and go like, oh, I know someone in the automotive industry, I can connect you to that person.
Mm.
So yeah, I definitely agree with you.
So
Raj, if
what ties both
someone,
philosophies easy? Sorry, just to summarize, what
mm,
ties both of our approaches together is that you made
yeah,
it easy for the other person. Rather than go
mm,
there and offer this generic ball of
yeah,
you that's not specific, you make it easy. I'm here. I'd like to go here. There's a couple of options that stand in between where I want to go,
mm.
and I've been confused or I'm stuck on it. Am I considering the right two options of these four, or is there a fifth one that I don't know about, or a
Yeah,
piece of advice you can give me?
that's 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 valuable. That's valuable insight. Okay, so Raj, going back to my original question, which is, all right, I'm stuck, man. I'm at home. I'm quarantined. What do I do? I'm kind of broke. What do I do? How do I leverage my contacts? How do I build a network? How do I serve people when I'm sitting at home? Or define the things that you've said, the strategy that you use right now. How do I do it?
So I think there's a couple of things. There's the first and foremost thing is that it sounds to me like the person you just described, whilst they have nothing
Mm,
else, they're broke and so on and so forth. It sounds to me like if they're at home, that they have a roof over their head and
mm,
probably food in the fridge. Maybe they live with family or they share a house with other people. So
yeah,
knowing those basic needs are covered, the question then is, what is going to be my content diet and who's going to be my steering committee? So let me explain.
content diet.
Yeah. So number one,
That's pretty cool, man.
if
Mm,
I'm in the situation where I want to progress and I'm hammering through episodes of Narcos or Ozark, 5, 6,
mm,
7 hours a day, then whilst my body needs a certain type of nutrition, which allows me to upskill, which could be Skillshare, which is free for the first couple of months, could be Masterclass, which is free for 14 days, could be the millions of YouTube videos that teach you how to do stuff, which are free forever. If
mm,
I'm feeding myself Netflix content and not that, then firstly, I'm not even putting my mind in a place whereby I can start picking up skills. Number two, you
mm.
have to look at the people around you and the people that you talk to. Because even if you go from consuming 6 hours of Netflix every single day to constantly studying all day long, like I do, listening to podcasts, watching videos, I'm still here every single day in quarantine. I need to know about every single camera that's out, every single microphone that's out, every single new format of interview that's out, everything that can fuel my mind, which will in turn
Yeah, yeah,
fuel my
yeah.
business.
So you're
Now,
refining your skills.
you got
You're
it.
using
But
this as an opportunity.
right, exactly. But looking from the outside in, that's useless if when I pick up the phone and I talk to my friends that they're all consuming 10 hours of Netflix content. So if
Oh, okay.
you've got a relative that you're checking in with, or a friend, or a partner, or there are just toxic, negative people around you, that is going to take you a lot longer to get to where you need to go because their
Mm.
gravity will pull you down.
Yeah, they're pulling you down.
So I'm very
Okay.
selective as to who I talk to on a daily basis. I probably speak to four to five people. And then add
Mm.
on to that, maybe 1 to 2 people speculative. I just check in. Like before we started this interview, you just saw I was like sending out voice notes to people in Cape Town and Dubai and London. Like, look,
Mm.
let me see where your head's at. I've known you guys for like several years. Let's work on something because I've seen an opportunity. So that a portion
Right.
I do, maybe 20% out of 100 is speculative. 80% is focused on the 7 or 8 people that are driving my business forward and my peace of mind forward and my happiness forward. And that's how you
Yeah. Are you familiar with the concept of you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with?
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you just clearly define that because they raise your game, especially if you're. I mean, I always tell people if you're hanging out with people that are where you want to be, their magic will rub off on you. They'll elevate your game just by default.
Mm.
Yeah, that's great advice. So I want to ask you, what's your daily routine like now, just so that people know how you do things and what you do.
So
Maybe they can emulate that.
you're the only person to ask me this question since my routine has
Really?
changed back to what it was. So about
Yeah.
a year and a half ago, we found ourselves back in the agency business full tilt. And
Yeah.
over the last year and a half, we've grown that business 5x in revenue, and we went from 2 staff to 7. Now, obviously, revenues are down because of the pandemic, and we're down to 3 staff.
Right.
What that's allowed me to do
Okay.
is have the routine that I had prior to the business just bursting and exploding. And I'll explain that routine.
Okay.
I think I've spoken about this in
Yeah.
other interviews as well. For me, I'm not one of those people that works full pace from the second I wake up. That being said,
Mm.
I work every second.
Mm.
So when I
You
wake up,
work?
every second,
Okay.
every second,
Mhm.
no, like no stopping unless it's like at the moment I spend maybe an hour during the whole day eating. Otherwise, I'm on it. Now, it also comes down to what you define as work. So let me explain to you. I'm a big fan of Scott Galloway, Kara Swisher, Group Chat Podcast, Gary Vaynerchuk, obviously a friend of mine. I consume his content as well, still within the mix of everything I'm consuming. So from the second I wake up, I have an opportunity to learn. I know I'm feeling creative in the morning. So from the second I wake up, there's a podcast on. That podcast is playing whilst I'm brushing my teeth, going for a shower, making my breakfast. And that is constantly just feeding me stuff. Now, from time to time, if I'm just not in a zone where I want to learn, and I'm talking about, again, 1 in every 20 days, then in the morning I'm taking on some Nipsey Hussle because I like that vibe. You know what I mean? I like that. I just love.
What is that?
Nipsey Hussle is a rapper who unfortunately died a year ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was murdered, unfortunately. Rest in peace. But like, you know,
Oh,
I listen to like hustler music, so I'll listen
right.
to Jay-Z or Nipsey Hussle or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Again, that my dosing of that has gone down because I need more contemporary information at the moment about where the market's going. So it's a lot more on the podcast side. So what I do is I wake up, and that might take a couple of hours to have breakfast and all those kind of bits and pieces. Once I hit my first coffee, which might be around 9 o'clock, then I'm on the phone to Vic, which he's one of the guys that works in my organization. He's also my cousin and the guy that I was DJing with since 2005. He's now joined our business.
Cool.
So I'll check in with him at the moment because he's in the same time zone. We've obviously always got some talking points with regards to client deliverables or new brands that we're working on or new offerings. And then I just get down to work. And obviously, like at the moment, because of the coronavirus, there's a lot of requests for interviews. So I'll block out time, maybe
Chunk of time.
2 to 5 slots a week for anybody who wants to do an interview, or somebody who's just like, hey, listen, man, the coronavirus has had this impact on my business. These are the following interpretations. These are the downs. These are the ups. And what can I do about it? And I also check in with those industry contacts. Like, be very clear. Like, I'm eating my own dog food at the moment. I'm doing what I'm telling other people to do. So yesterday I had a conversation with a good friend of mine who works on the commercial team at EMAR, and we were strategizing based on the data that he's got and the data that I've got, when the market will move and which markets will move. Not in terms of stock markets, but in terms of micro sectors. So F&B, hospitality, transport, e-commerce, you know, everything's been affected. So the worlds that we play in, the B2B world, we were just talking about that. Obviously, when you surround yourselves with other hustlers, they're all getting text messages and insights from other hustlers. And so it's working with people. So my schedule is that, and then delivering on work the whole day. Maybe sometimes some shows will creep through. Like I had flu 3 weeks ago, not COVID, thankfully. And because
thankfully.
Because I couldn't physically move, I watched Narcos Mexico, the latest season. But even that for me is, I won't just watch something because it gives me a hit. I'll watch it because I know that it's probably going to be one of the more culturally relevant like shows that's out there. So I watched it. I saw that one of the members of the Migos was in the first episode, made a quick mental note of the fact that the guy who runs the Migos, he's Coach K, probably did that deal with the Netflix. So like, I'm tying pieces together.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have some downtime?
Do I have downtime?
Or are you just on the whole freaking time?
What you consume it releases different hormones inside you.
Yeah.
So if I'm listening to Nipsey Hussle, or if I'm listening to a podcast by Kara Swisher, both of them are not only filling up my brain, but they're also relaxing me. So downtown is about relaxing, right? So I feel relaxed knowing that somebody at the New York Times has just done all this research and now they're transferring it through my ears into my head. That's actually a
Yeah.
relaxing feeling. Research and listening to podcasts is very meditative for me because I know that the 24 or 48 hours prior, Bloomberg or CNN or New York Times or anybody has just gathered this data and is now presenting it to me. Me knowing that I don't need to go and find that data because it's been curated and it's being transferred through the podcast, through my ears into my brain, is relaxing. Now, if I need to relax, and it's not happened yet in the last few weeks since we've been quarantined, but I know it will depending on how long it lasts, I'll pull out my turntables. I've been a DJ for the last 22 years. And I might just throw out a little mix or organize my music. But we're not there yet because clearly there's a lot of stuff happening in the business world at the moment. And I'm really getting my kicks and my dopamine rushes from that.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So yeah, that's on the kind of mechanical work front. What do you do to stay sane? Like for me, I wake up, you listen to podcasts, I wake up, I meditate directly, and then I write down my goals, my 10 goals, and then why I'm going to achieve them. And I plan my day. How do you prepare yourself mentally for what's coming? How do you stay positive?
That means that staying positive requires work. For me, it doesn't require work. Like, how do you stay sane means that something is testing my sanity. And more often than not, it's not. Now, if there are things that become really challenging, like individual moments of time, like how do I renegotiate this contract with this client because they're going through some hard times with coronavirus, or how do I fire this person, or how do I hire this person and get them to work? That will require a little bit of talking. And I've definitely got like an inner circle of people who I check in with and I say, hey, listen, I've got a couple of options here and I'm just trying to figure out what would you do. I've got people above me good friends of mine that have got 25 staff members on salary at any one given time who can help me with staffing stuff. I've got other friends of mine who are deal makers that just have really amazing perspectives.
So mentors, these are your mentors, kind of.
No, I mean, these are my peers and my mentors. And if something is not driving me insane, but if it's testing my sanity, then I'll just talk it through. But on a day-to-day basis, I don't really have any kind of relaxation rituals. I get a good night's sleep almost every night. And that's it. And I'll be honest with you, my thoughts sometimes do get congested in my head. If you've not spoken for a little while, which is very typical of the quarantine period, thoughts can start to layer on top of each other and get muddled up. And actually what I find enjoyable, and I'm finding this really enjoyable, I'm very grateful to you for the conversation, which is that when I speak to somebody who's from outside my industry, I have to be very mindful in the way that I put my phrases together. And that allows me to get my thoughts out. So you're actually helping me a tremendous amount right now, because the questions you ask me, and I don't know where those questions are coming from, help me put my thoughts together in a very limited and concise way. That's why when you said to me, like, let's make this call a preparation call for the interview, I said, my preference is when we jump on the call, just do the interview. Because if I'm prepared, I will underserve you.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. All right. So I got 2 more questions for you. What is a no compromise habit for you? Like, no, you're not going to compromise on that. It has to be like a daily thing that you do. You can't compromise on it.
It's a very incredible question.
This is what gives you your edge, because you don't compromise on it.
I don't think I'm that headstrong on any one thing, and I'll tell you why.
It could be a couple of things, so that's fine. It doesn't have to be one thing.
So in a funny way, I think it is. I don't think that it's necessarily a couple of things individually in a silo. I think that there is a number of things on a day-to-day basis that in any combination will give me my edge and give me my happiness. So if it's a, if I get to, honestly, it could be anything, man. It could be like, it could be a conversation with a friend. It could be checking out some content. Like, I would say probably if we were going to narrow down on one thing, I do really enjoy learning every day. Something could be anything. You know, what interface or magic ring connects a Canon lens to a Sony camera? What is it? Why is it out? There's a couple of people that I follow on Instagram who I really like following their content. One of them is an account called Young Bogus Boy. I like the stories that he creates. Another one is a guy called DJ Stacks from Hot 97. His content on Instagram stories every day is incredible. In that 30 to 40 seconds flick through, you find out who's on charts, who's billboarding, how many record sales they're doing, what are the big stories in New York, who are the artists that are going to be making a big impact in 7, 8, 9 months time. I would say those are things that I would like to do, but then again, they're not no compromise things, because quite honestly, if I don't do those things that day, but then I get to have lunch with somebody who I've been meaning to have lunch with for a year and a half, it compensates. So for me, it's whatever combination of things that I derive joy from or that I'm grateful for. And honestly, I'm very lucky because there's probably 10 to 12 things that if any 2 of them happen on a day, that is that moment that I need.
Right.
But it always works out. Every day something will happen that will put me in a good place.
Yeah. Okay. Last question is, all right, you work in the media industry. How do we deal with the media, like what's going on right now? Because I feel like it's being blown out of proportion. Yes, there is some truth to it, but what's your take on what's going on with the media, and how do I deal with it? You know, because I'm a person that doesn't believe everything that I hear. But what's your take on it?
So I think what we have to realize about the industry is that the media industry it's a high OPEX market, right? There's a lot of operating expenses to run a media company. The moment that you start pumping out media that's more than just you talking into your webcam or talking into your phone, you then need money. So once you go from speaking into your phone to speaking into a professional camera and editing it on a MacBook, now all of a sudden you're 30,000 dirhams down. Plus you've got an internet connection to upload your content, right? It's very easy to slip from DIY content on your mobile, and even a mobile costs money, to dropping 100 or 200,000 dirhams on equipment like we've done. What then happens is you have to then make that money back. And the media industry predominantly survives on funding. That comes in the form of advertising or sponsorship or patronage. Now, there are other models, but advertising, sponsorship, and patronage are the things that drive them. Now, with patrons, you're not necessarily, you're open to obviously multiple people contributing. Sponsorship is a little bit more integrated than advertising. But with advertising, for those adverts to make sense, your content has to,
you got to attract people's attention.
Impression. So why does the media, to your point, now feel overwhelming? Because they've all managed to gather around a story of the day. The story of the day, from a Maslowian perspective, impacts us at a biological level. This is something that could potentially kill us and kill our loved ones. And then even if you're not worried about that, there is an economic crisis. See, 2008 was a financial crisis. It pretty much started, ended, and was resolved by the financial industry and the governments that support. This is an economic crisis.
Right.
This is going to change buying habits, things of that nature. So it's quite different. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
So
what do I do? Do I believe what's happening, or
no? So
who do I listen to?
Point, the media industry is overwhelming because they've all gathered around this honeypot and they're trying to come up with any story that they can. So if you look at like Channel 4, the UK's Channel 4 on YouTube, almost every video they're uploading at the moment is about Corona, and every single thumbnail has 891 people died yesterday. Then you go back 24 hours and they go 621 people died the day before. And you go back on the previous one and they go 600 people died the day before. It's statistics porn. It's fear.
Yeah.
That is the constant eyeballs that they get on YouTube makes them money from advertising. The constant eyeballs that they make through terrestrial and satellite programming makes them money through advertising. So you've got to understand what the media's agenda is, and everything that I've just described has nothing to do with them caring about how overwhelmed or how much anxiety it causes you. So the first thing to remember to answer your question is you are responsible. Unless you've got a laptop that I don't know about that opens itself when you walk past it, you decide that. And that's what I said when it comes to content diet. Very early in this whole process of the pandemic, I made some conscious choices as to what were going to be my healthy sources of content and what were going to be my unhealthy sources of content. And I still consume unhealthy content, like over-the-top content. I still consume conspiracy theories because I know that I can go there, consume it, get a level on it, and then come back out again.
Yeah.
If that's not something you can do and you find it overwhelming, commit, write on your wall on a piece of paper, write on your hand every morning after you've showered, I'll only be consuming the following bits of content. And I'm not going to consume them in a row. It's going to be, okay, I'm going to look at CNN for the numbers. Then instead of going straight to something else, I might watch a show that I enjoy, which is comedy, which will make me feel a certain way, or I might meditate in the middle. You're ultimately responsible. It can be overwhelming, but I must say, and I must congratulate the fact that you've probably created this thought in your listeners, is that once you're aware of that, once you're aware of, I don't know who to believe, I don't know what to listen to, this is a little bit overwhelming, the other side of that thought is coming up with the answer. And it's the answer to you.
Yeah. I totally agree with you, man. Like, I'm writing a PDF right now that I want to send off to people and I want to publish it. It's that, no one's responsible for you. You got to figure it out on your own. No one's out there to say, there's no rescue team that's going to just like, break down your door and try to like save you. You got to save yourself. You got to do something. Even if you're an employee, the company needs to do whatever it needs to do to survive. So in a way, you're just a number because the company needs to survive with money. So if you're a dead weight on them, they're going to get rid of you. But if they do help you, that's amazing. But you're responsible. That's very valuable insight, man. So what do I do? Who do I listen to? Which news agencies do you listen to? Where it's kind of like sound for you to take advice or to really get accurate feed on what's happening for you personally.
So for me, the news agencies I listen to in combination with all the other things that I consume on a daily basis is probably a combination of Bloomberg, CNN, Sky News, Channel 4, Khaleej Times, and The National. Why those? Because I believe that the directional force of any themes that affect life and business at the moment starts in the US, transitions over Europe, and then hits us here in the UAE. So I look at the US news and the press briefings, and then I look at the major publications and what stories they've chosen to curate, let's say the New York Times. Then I look at what's happening in the UK, and I take a couple of perspectives out of the UK, The Guardian, Channel 4, Sky News, the BBC. Then I look at here in the UAE. Now, I don't consume television in the UAE. I consume my news through the media. So I look at what is the National talking at, what's the Khaleej Times talking, and then talking about, and then I might just like jump on Chris Fade's like Instagram, what his story of the day is, because whilst there's nothing that Chris Fade has typically got for me other than body image envy, like he might make me eat that day because he's in good shape, but like otherwise, like I'll consume Chris's content because I know that whatever he's talking about is probably not truly what's going on in his head, but it's probably more of a reflection of the people that he serves.
Right.
And, he's probably there are people that are going through it right now, and they probably appreciate the fact that he's a little bit nice, or he's a little bit funny, or he's a little bit charming, and that helps them get through the day, right? So I look at him as kind of like the pop mainstream media guy, and the things that he's talking about is probably a good way to understand how your typical Virgin Radio listener is thinking, and that's your general population, right? I'm not expecting Fade to give me a high level macroeconomic breakdown,
right.
Like how economics.
But he has some insight.
Chris Fade is much smarter than he lets on. But with his celebrity, he's not he's not going to be able, he has to be very selective because he can't also go over the heads of people. There's no way
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
of
achieve as much
course.
as he's achieved by just being the guy
Mm.
that you see on the internet.
Okay, okay, okay. So what would be like, just to sign off, what's your advice to people right now? Just if you want to narrow it down, like 3 things they have to do right now.
I would say that the number one thing that you need to do is understand that there are very few people that have the insight and the foresight to understand how this is going to play out over the next 18 months. I say 18 months because that's typically how long it takes to create a vaccine. So my
Yeah,
timeline is based on that. That's my frame of reference.
that's
So
a good way of thinking about it.
do
Yeah.
not overcommit to one frame of mind. Choose the 2 or 3 perspectives that in combination will guide you. Number 2, and obviously, sorry, to point 1 as well, all these life coaches and people that are offering like pandemic guides and way to get through this, don't listen to them. If somebody says, I know something, but you've got to give me your email address to find out, bun that person, like forget that person. That person is just an
Yeah.
opportunistic person. That's a profiteer. That's somebody who's, to me, that's the equivalent of somebody who's hoarding rubber gloves and hand sanitizers and trying to sell it at 5 times the price. So while you choose the people that you listen to, negate all these other bottom feeders. Number 2, I would say that hold on to your money. This could be a little while. So reallocate your funds away from, and this is assuming that you're a person of average income, right? I'm not, if you're rich and you've got your money all over the place, that's different. But to the average person, the average, working or middle class person, hold on to as much cash as you've got. Push back your priorities when it comes to the latest sneakers, the holidays, and of course,
Yeah.
in some cases, you're gonna have to cancel and push back weddings and big events like that. Not because you want to, but in many cases you have to. Look at that as an opportunity to hold back on some money and make sure that you are economically able to get through, I would say at least 12 to 18 months. Number 3, take this, and this probably should have been number 1, take this as an opportunity to serve. If you can give away something at inherent zero cost, go from being a producer to a distributor. Here's what I mean by that.
Okay. Yeah.
If you normally produce loaves of bread, and the way that you make money from those loaves of bread is by selling it to supermarkets. The supermarkets give you shelf space. The bread sells, they order more, you make more, and then you live on to trade another day. Right now, you're in a place where you can't sell the bread, okay? Give it away as much as you can. We've gone from selling season to sampling season. And be very specific. Bread was just a metaphor. If you've got knowledge, you're an accountant, you're a lawyer, you're a business consultant,
Knowledge workers.
you're a coach, if you're a knowledge worker, if you can now give your content away at inherent zero cost, use this opportunity and the additional time you have to provide as much value as you can, because this is a rare opportunity where your consumer's attention is high on media. You've got an opportunity to deliver value, build brand, create a sense of ethical debt in your consumer, because they're like, man, during that pandemic season, I was at home for 3 weeks and I really listening to Raj's content. I liked all the stuff he was saying. Next time I see that guy, I'd like to, shake his hand, assuming that's allowed, or buy him a coffee, or introduce him to my CA. When we come out of when we go into our recovery period, we'd like Raj to be an advisor on it. They're probably the 3 things that I would suggest. And of course, it goes without saying, whatever you can do to protect the wellness of yourself and your loved ones and protect vulnerable people, try and do that. Don't be an idiot. Don't lie in the face of good advice. You know what I mean? Like, you're not helping anybody at that stage. If you're able to even go beyond just sharing your knowledge to help other people, if you can do a supermarket run or a pharmacy run. I know in the UAE we don't have many elderly people. It's not elderly population is quite a narrow population, and the ones that are here are typically supported by younger people. But like, wherever you're listening to this in the world, I'm sure I'll send this out to my followers in other markets. Like, if you can do something to help someone, there's never been a better time. you're going to be,
Yeah.
you have a time in this critical time. If you're fortunate, you have an opportunity to build a legacy quickly, and you'll be judged by the good that you do when you have the opportunity. Now is the
Very
opportunity.
true. Very true. Great insight. Great insight. Raj, this is the time, all the time we got. But before we just sign off, I want to really, thank you for taking the time to do this interview. I really want to acknowledge you for, your deeds, man. You're other than being great at what you do, collaborating, networking, creating concepts and ideas, and putting out content that's very valuable. I've gotten to know you in the past couple of months. You're a really genuine, cool guy.
That means the
That's what I, yeah, that's what I love about you, man. It's not just the stuff that you do. It's just you're a very genuine, cool, laid back, chill, um, loving guy.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate your friendship too, and I also appreciate the fact that you've taken time now that you have it to create something for other people and create a platform, gather voices, leverage your contacts, have meaningful conversations, and I really hope that it lands in the smartphones and on the laptops and on the YouTubes of people that need to hear it. So continue to do good
Hopefully.
work. Don't give up on this just because, if in 5 weeks time, all of a sudden 100 grand, 100,000 dirhams worth of monthly retainers comes in, do not give up on this. Don't make this something
Yeah.
don't make this something that you did, make it something you do.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. All right, guys, thank you so much. This is all the time we have. Tune in next time for the podcast. Sam's got your back, where we bring amazing people to the podcast and we interview them and we find out what makes these people great at what they do. Take care, guys, and stay safe. Peace.